This is my icord buttonhole, and I like it really well. It's really nice and firm. More so on the side where the button is going to pull than on the back side of the buttonhole, although I suppose we could do something there as well. I'm thinking that I can take the ends that get cut off and I can whip this edge down, which is going to further clean up the back side of the buttonhole, although it truly isn't necessary. I'm probably just being overly anal in thinking that I would like to whip that edge down. So I'll show you how I did it. Alright, I'm on the row. I'm going to set the base of my buttonhole. So I'm going to work across to where I have my buttonhole marked, and I'm going to do a lifted increase. I'm lifting the purl bump, making a stitch. I'm going to lift this purl bump, make a stitch. Alright, now see, I've added, this is a new stitch here, this is a new stitch here, and I'm going to work to the end of the row. Come back and start just the right side of the buttonhole. I'm just doing seed stitch so it lays flat, so we don't have any curling when we look at it. The bottom of the buttonhole is super easy. You're just going to add the 2 stitches, one on each side of the buttonhole. Here we are. This is our added stitch. See, that's the lifted stitch we created. Now, on the way back, you're going to slip the first 2. I am slipping according to the way I like to knit. I like to knit with mine in back. When you slip your stitch, you're going to turn your work, so just slip your stitch. Just don't twist it when you knit it. And you're going to do this same thing every single row. You're going to knit all the way to the buttonhole, and then you're going to come back and slip the first on the way back. You'll slip those first 2 stitches. See, these are the stitches we slipped. This is just your standard icord, how you handle it, only we're just doing it with 2 stitches. We're not doing it with 3 stitches. 3 stitches makes it a little bit big and bulky. So you repeat this every single time. You stitch to the buttonhole, slip the first 2, however you want to slip the first 2, however you want them oriented on the needle. You just don't want to twist them when you knit them. I am not as dexterous in wrapping the yarn with one hand over the other. I just don't practice enough, I think. You see how the edge is forming? You see how it's starting to curl? This is starting to turn to the back. You see that? And so you just repeat for as many rows as you need to create your buttonhole. You slip the first 2 and repeat. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to come back and we'll start on the other side. Okay, here we are. I have my buttonhole about the height I'm going to want it. So this is my last right side only row. Alright, you're going to stop here. These two stitches need to switch positions on the needle. This one comes to the front and across. That one comes to the back. So I'm going to do a little bit of hoochie coochie here, and then they both go on the left hand needle. That's going to also encourage that. First thing we have to do is we have to attach our yarn, and this is important. It may seem like a necessary step, but it's very important. I'm going to pair up on the stitch that we did the increase on. This is our increase stitch, and I'm going to pair this stitch up. The reason you have to do this is if you don't have this stitch paired up, you don't get the beginning of the curl, and the two sides of your buttonhole won't look alike. So I'm going to pair that up. There's my paired up stitch. Okay, we're going to slip the first stitch. This is just like before when we stitched across and the end of the row we slipped the first two stitches. This is exactly the same. Of course you're going to be doing it from the back side, but this is the way we do it. And we're going to knit it, and this is exactly the same. We knit to the end, we come back, we knit all the way to the buttonhole. When we turn, we slip the first two stitches. It is identical. If you are doing a series of buttonholes instead of just the single buttonhole I'm displaying here, you're going to have to mark your buttonholes, and you'll work this section, add your yarn, work back and forth to the next buttonhole. You're going to have to do exactly the same thing. So when you do your wrong side row that sets everything up, you're going to have to, where you have your buttonholes marked, you're going to have to do your increase for each buttonhole, and then you'll work the right half of the buttonhole, then you'll work the left half of the buttonhole, which is going to be the right half of the next buttonhole. You'll work that up, and then you'll do the join at the top, and I'll show you that. Now this is our paired up stitch. It gets knit as one stitch. When we do our turn, we're going to slip the first two stitches. You see I have the first two stitches slipped. And this is the same. We just knit all the way across, and you're going to knit enough rows that it matches the first side of the buttonhole that you did. Yeah, I need to practice it, I know. I just don't do enough of it, I think. Miles and miles of stockinette. Slip this one and this one. Alright, I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to get enough rows done that you can see. You can see I don't have enough rows yet, but see how it's just beautiful? Comes out just beautiful. Okay, here we are. Alright, unlike this side where we stopped 2 stitches short, this one we go all the way to the end, but we still need to switch these two around, and we need to do it the same way. This one needs to come to the front and around. And that encourages that curl. Now, we're going to close up the top of the buttonhole. This stitch and this stitch are going to change spaces or change locations, but do not drop this off the needle. These two get knit as a pair. I don't have that oriented on the needle correctly. That would be tragic. So those two get knit as a pair. And these two get knit as a pair. And I'm orienting as I knit. I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that to you. And that's the top of your buttonhole. It makes a nice firm buttonhole. Let me get to the end here and I'll flip it over and you can look at it. You see how that makes a really nice, firm, nice top to the buttonhole. It's well supported. It looks really attractive on the back. Really is a nice buttonhole. I would, if you're going to orient it like this in your garment, like this in your garment, so that the button is pulling on it sideways, I would recommend that you take this tail and sew these two purl bumps together to give you the bottom of your buttonhole a little more support there. But there you go. It's really simple and really pretty. That makes a really nice, pretty buttonhole.